everybody, my name is Tanya and this is going to be Multi-Owned Authors Fantasy Series Edition. So I've got some really great comments on my video that I did about authors that I own multiple books by but haven't read any of their work, and so I thought I'd go on and film another one of these. I spoke in that video that I have a lot of authors that I own more than one book by that I have not read anything of. So this time we're going to focus on fantasy series. So there are a number of authors, I've got 4 here to talk about, that I own like complete or almost complete series of their work, and I still haven't read anything by them. So the first one I've got to talk about might be conspicuous from its absence. It usually sits right in behind me here, and that is the Del Riata trilogy by Jules Watson. So I own the complete trilogy, and nope, I've not read them. So the trilogy comprises of The White Mare, The Dawn Stag, and The Boarstone. And I purchased this trilogy when I was looking for something that was quite similar to Juliet Maria, something that kind of covers the same kind of historical settings and maybe themes. I think I actually first heard about this one from a borrower when I was discussing it with them in a library that I used to work in, and it piqued my interest, and instead of borrowing it from the library I purchased them because, you know, I do that. And they've been sitting on my shelves ever since. So that was way back before I moved into this house, and I've been here for 5 years. So that kind of gives you a bit of a picture of how long I've owned these without reading them. But I do feel like these are going to give me a similar kind of feel to Julia Maria's work. I haven't read them. So I'm going to read you the blurb of the first book to give you a little bit of a taste. And so it says, AD 79, and Agricola, the ruthless governor of Roman Britain, is turning his attentions to the last unconquered territory in Britain, Alba, Scotland. Rianne is a courageous and beautiful Scottish princess and priestess scarred by her violent past. She faces what for her is the ultimate sacrifice, a forced marriage, to protect the freedom of her people. Eramon is an enigmatic Irish prince, an exile who must seek an alliance elsewhere to regain his throne. With war and chaos looming for her people, Rianne finds herself drawn into an unexpected journey of the spirit and heart which will reveal the true purpose of her life. And so I am still very much interested in reading this series, but it's just taking me a long time to get to it. The next author I have to talk about here is another complete trilogy, and that is the Moorcock trilogy by Celine Kiernan. And honestly, I don't even remember why I bought these ones, except I suspect the covers had a lot to do with it. So I've completely forgotten what these are about, so again I'll read you the blurb on the back of the first one to remind myself as well what these are about. I remember I was fascinated and interested at the time, but again I purchased these well before I moved here, so you know, we're talking 7+ years on my shelf probably. And so we have Book 1, The Poisoned Throne, Book 2, The Crowded Shadows, and Book 3, The Rebel Prince. And I think the covers of these ones are really stunning. It's this really nice kind of line drawings, and I think they are beautiful. And yes, I suspect that did influence a lot of my decision to purchase these. So the back of the first one says, a friend, a father, a kingdom, which would you sacrifice? Meet 15-year-old Winter Moorhawk, protect a lady, qualified girl apprentice in a man's trade, former king's catkeeper, and feisty heroine of the Moorhawk trilogy. Set in a fantastical medieval Europe, The Poisoned Throne is a compelling tale of court intrigue, romance and adventure which draws the reader in from the very first sentence and doesn't lose its grip until the last. So again, still very interested in reading these, for all that I've forgotten anything about them, but they continue to sit on my shelves. The next author, we're stepping it up a notch, and here instead of a trilogy is an almost complete series, and that is the Overwood Chronicles by Isabel Carmody. So I have 6 books in the series here, and yeah. So in order, the books are Over Newton, The Far Seekers, Ashling, The Keeping Place, The Stone Key, and The Sending, and a 7th and final book has now been released, so I can complete my collection once it's released in the smaller format paperback, which I better check actually whether it's gotten to that point yet. But basically I owned every book that was available at the time I purchased these, and yep, I've not read them. I've been meaning to read these for a very, very long time. I've heard just fantastic things about them, and Isabel Carmody is basically a local to me, so I really need to get around to it. Possibly it's got something to do with the fact that the first book looks like this, and some of the later books look like this, but you know, a great fantasy epic is always wonderful, and now that the 7th book has been released, this is the perfect time to finally get around to reading this. I'm pretty sure I've said this on my channel before. Hasn't happened yet, but someday soon. Again, I'm just going to read you the blurb on the back of this first one. It says, in a world struggling back from the brink of apocalypse, life is harsh, but for Elspeth Gordy, born with enhanced mental abilities that would see her sterilised or burned if discovered, it is also dangerous. There is only survival by secrecy, and so she determines never to use her forbidden powers, but it is as if they have their own imperative, and their use inevitably brings her to the attention of the totalitarian council that rules the land. Sent to the remote mountain institution of Overwood, where escape is impossible, she must throw off her safe cloak of concealment and pit herself against those who will resurrect the terrible forces of the apocalypse. Only then she will learn most truly who and what she is. And so again, I've just heard fantastic things about this series. I've heard they really developed from this first one when Isabel Carmody was quite young when she was writing the first one, I believe. And it really develops a long time, and it's taken quite a long time from this first book to the last one to be published. So again, I'm coming in at a good time when I've got the full story. I just have to get there. So the 6 books in the Overwood Chronicles matches Anthony Trollope from my last video and the amount of books that I own by him, but I do have one author that beats both of them. An author that I own 7 books by, have still not read any of her work, and own 2 complete series. And then there's the 3 books in the Bitterbine trilogy, and the 4 books in the Crow-Thistle Chronicles. And so the Bitterbine trilogy consists of The Ill-Made Mute, The Lady of the Sorrows, and The Battle of Evernight. And the Crow-Thistle Chronicles are The Iron Tree, The Well of Tears, Where the Witch, and lastly Fallowblade. And these I again bought several years ago, I think when I was investigating different fantasy authors, and bought both of these I think in a bulk lot on eBay, so didn't pay full price, but still. This is a lot of books. And so for the first book in the Bitterbine trilogy, The Ill-Made Mute, the back says, the lordly storm riders land their winged stallions on the airy battlements of this tower, while in the fortress's depths the superstitious servants sit by the hearth and tell ghastly tales of a world most of them have only glimpsed. Yet it is the least of the lowly, a mute, scarred, and utterly despised foundling who dares to scale the tower, sneak aboard a windship, and then dive from the sky. This is the beginning of a journey through a wilderness of endless danger, where the hearthside tales are true. Yet along the way, the fugitive acquires a name, the ability to communicate by handspeak, and an amazing truth no one had ever guessed. As the journey grows longer and the challenges more deadly, the newly named Imrine is saved by the mysterious Damon Ranger, whose gallantry and courage are matched only by his martial skills. But unknown to them both, a deadly plot is unfolding as a dark force summons the malignant hordes of unseelie, and foul things amass in the night. And then we've got the first book in the Crow-Thistle Chronicles, which is The Iron Tree, which I think I started once before, or maybe read the first chapter, or at least the start of it, but wasn't quite in a place to continue on, and have never got back to it again. And so the back of this one says, Jared is leaving the sun-scorched desert village that has always been his home. He sets out with a band of friends to explore the world, to see the mighty beautiful kingdom of the north, and to seek out the truth about his father, who came to his village a stranger and departed when Jared was 10, never to return. But he left Jared a powerful gift, an amulet that would protect him from all harm, and extracted from his son the promise that he would wear it evermore. Jared has done so, although he has come to recognise its mixed blessings. After the travellers are set upon in a ravine, they seek shelter in the marsh, a place of cool green water and dazzling beauty, as different from their homeland as night and day. Here Jared meets Lilith, and in a single moment he realises that his life cannot ever be the same again, but neither realises how closely linked their fates and their past really are. During a visit to Cathairua, the Red City, Jared stumbles across the secret of the Iron Tree, and with it an unbearable truth about his father's identity. So begins an extraordinary journey, a chronicle of jealousy and revenge, of wickedness, broken promises and justice, and discovery and truth and of love. So I've spoken recently about craving epic fantasy at the moment, and I'm well and truly surrounded by it on my shelves, and in fact, as evidenced today, I've got full series sitting there to read, so yep. And so let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or complete series, and let me know what some of the complete series you have on your shelves that you've never read. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!